Good morning. Welcome. Today is Sunday, July 5th. Hello, how's it going? Yeah, welcome. My name is Angela. I'm a front-end developer and a software engineer in St. Paul, Minnesota. And on this channel, we pretty much do vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. There's also a healthy amount of deployment. Friday, if you've never set up a GitHub action before, am I the last person in the world to do that? Go check out the Friday stream. We did a GitHub action to deploy to the main branch for our current project, practicelayouts.com. It was really fun. You know, years ago, I had a third-party service, and the name escapes me. Deploybot? Deploybot? Is that a thing? Deploybot? Yeah, Deploybot. Hang on. Years ago, I used to pay for Deploybot. I'm pretty sure. Deploybot has joined Deploy HQ. Yeah, okay, so it looks like they were bought out. So I used to, and when I say years ago, I'm talking about like, yeah, 10 years ago, maybe. And it wasn't that it was super expensive. It was, maybe at the time it was 10 or 12 bucks a month. I'm not sure. I just remember though, it needed a lot of babysitting. And yeah, I think I also, you know, I got to this point a long time ago where I just feel like I'm being nickeled and dimed. Raise your hand if you feel like you're being nickeled and dimed by SaaS products, right? And it's worse now, obviously, than it ever has been. And I'm not even just talking about development. products, but just like everything. Everything is an effing subscription, and I'm sick of it. So I personally have spent a lot of time over this last year just cutting things from my life that I don't need. And if there's something I need and it's a manual process, so be it. I'm just gonna do it. Go Elmo is raising his hand in the chat. I'm over it. I'm over these SaaS products. I don't want to deal with it anymore. And so I sort of had that feeling when it came to DeployBot. But my point is, I've set up many, yeah, many, I don't know, a handful, maybe a dozen YAML files for S3 and AWS because I worked at, so my last job was the University of St. Thomas here in St. Paul, Minnesota. And we used AWS for everything because every large organization uses AWS, right? So I'm definitely not new to a YAML file, but I just had never bothered or gotten around to using making a GitHub action, especially this last year, because honestly, I build static websites on this channel and it's so easy to just pop open FileZilla or do an rsync. And I wouldn't trade what I've learned about rsync for anything. And also GitHub Actions are basically using rsync, right? So or at least for what I'm doing, that's basically what they're doing. So you're just automating the rsync process. Anyways, it was a lot of fun and we were able to establish this workflow that I really, really like. So as a front-end developer, I will develop locally on a staging branch. I usually call it integrations. You could call it dev staging, whatever you want. I push that to GitHub and then that deploys to GitHub Pages. GitHub Pages is our staging version of the site. So we can go to GitHub Pages, we can check and see if the thing that we just did broke anything. If it works, we could basically do our QA, right? Then in GitHub, we do a pull request and we merge with the main branch. That triggers the GitHub action and deploys to DigitalOcean, the production site. So I think that that is a solid front end process. Listen, there is no process that can replace communication on your team. We spent a lot of time at St. Thomas talking about, deployment process, QA, merging, pull requests. We had many conversations about this, and I do think that we came up with a solid process. But my takeaway from my years of working on a team and managing work amongst multiple developers is that nothing replaces communication. Checking in with your colleagues in the morning, we didn't do daily stand-ups. So for me, it was as easy as checking in with my junior developer and saying, hey, what are you working on today? I'm working on XYZ. Please don't touch those files. What are you working on? And then you can avoid a lot of merge conflicts and things like that. We also had dedicated deployment days. We had, because when we were deploying, we would turn off, we use this big custom CMS and we would turn off publishing. And when you turn off publishing, you're basically putting a halt to any content creator in the organization who's building pages in the CMS, right? But it was really important on deployment days that we were turning off publishing for the CMS and then doing our QA and then turning publishing back on. So we had dedicated deployment days every Monday and Thursday. We never deployed on a Friday. That was a hard and fast rule. Unless it was an emergency situation, we do not deploy on Fridays. And I highly recommend that you come up with a rule for your team or your organization that you do not deploy on Fridays unless you want to work on Saturday and Sunday. And then we could always plan around our deployments. Like every Monday, every Thursday, we were always planning. What are you working on? Is there the potential for a merge conflict? Is there anything sitting on that branch that can't go to production? Or is it not being used, but it can go to production and it wouldn't impact anything else? So like I said, you can have the best system in the world for deployment, it will never replace communication. Never replace communication. You got to talk to each other and talk about what everybody else is working on. That's my best advice. But you can still, in partnership with communication, have a good system. And I do feel like what I'm doing is a good system. So there's that. That was a lot. I really enjoy talking about these things, though. I like talking about deployment and process and systems and communication. I don't know. I really enjoy it. I like it. Clearly, I here's the other thing. I want people to look at my YouTube channel and think, well, she spends a lot of time talking about front end development, like a weird amount of time talking about front end development. She must like it. So, um, there's that. Anyways, it was a fun day Friday, so go check it out. Let's say hello to some folks in the chat. Lego Technic is here and says hello, welcome, hi. Gogo Elmo is here. Gogo Elmo was also raising his hand at a time when I was talking about who else feels like they're being sassed to death. And I feel like Gogo Elmo and Emilio Adiza also have those same feelings. Gogo Elmo and Emilio are the mods in the chat. Inez H. Reddy, I hope I'm saying that correctly, says, hello everyone, I'm new to this channel and this is my first live stream here. Looking forward to an amazing session. Well, welcome. Thank you. That's so cool that you like came and introduced yourself. I thank you for being here and thank you for being in the chat. Yeah, we're happy to have you. I am going to put a little bit of a disclaimer on today's live stream, which is we're going to be doing the filtering and the load more for practice layouts right here. I also pulled up our 30 days of vanilla JavaScript, which is turning out to be just an invaluable library for us to reference when we're working on things. I will never not be so happy that I did this 30 days of vanilla JavaScript project because I pulled up the debounced search with filter, which is basically what we're going to do today. We're going to follow along with this, but back to the disclaimer. The disclaimer is this, that if you are easily frustrated by somebody who needs to like kind of go slow and take their time and think through problems, you know, maybe you have a bit more JavaScript experience than I do, this may not be the YouTube presentation for you. If you want to put suggestions in the chat, you are welcome to do so, but just let's set some expectations. I may not look at them. It's not a group coding project. I will often say, don't tell me, don't tell me, don't tell me, because I want to figure it out. Basically, what I'm doing here is I'm practicing. The whole point of the channel is to promote practice. And sometimes that means I'm practicing things that I'm not super good at. And vanilla JavaScript is like kind of one of those things. I would call myself a fair to middling vanilla JavaScript person. Definitely have vastly improved over the last few months, but it's not like CSS and HTML, which I can write those things in my sleep with both hands tied behind my back. They are literally second languages at this point. I'm not quite there yet with JavaScript. It takes me a little longer sometimes to connect all the dots. And I just want to set expectations and let folks know that if you are uncomfortable watching somebody who needs to go slow because you can see what the solution is and I haven't seen it yet, this may not be the right place for you. So that's it. I just want to set expectations. And if you're putting things in the chat and you're trying to help me and you're like, and you think that I'm ignoring you, I probably am ignoring you. So, there's that. Okay. Should we get started? Oh, I did have one other thing I wanted to share today, this is kind of a milestone. I'm going to share this because I think it's cool. We finally earned enough money from YouTube AdSense to get paid $121.45. You guys, we did it. 2 long years of live streaming and making content for YouTube. We finally got monetized in April. YouTube has a $100 threshold, so you don't get paid out anything till you at least have $100 in your AdSense account. And we got to 121.45. So that is very exciting. That is because, here's the thing, that's because people watch the ads, or they do super chats, or they gift memberships, and they watch the ads. So if you're somebody who puts up with those things, or you've been kind enough to gift or sponsor or whatever, that is a direct result of you guys showing up and hanging out while I work. So this is me thanking you for being here and for being a part of the process. I appreciate you all. I really, really do. And this might also be a good time to remind people, hey, if you would be so kind, would you please like this video, subscribe if you're new here. I'd love to have you. I'm here every Saturday and Sunday, usually about 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. It helps the algorithm. It helps get this pushed out to more people who might be interested in this type of content. And yeah, it helps the channel grow. So there's that. Oh, I will admit that setting up, like, YouTube doesn't have you like set up your payout information or like complete that final piece of the puzzle until they actually have something to pay you. So I got up this morning and I like put in, the business checking account and got everything set up. And I was like, wow, this is now first of all, I'm like, well, what can you get with $121? Well, that is a trip to Costco or Target. So I know that that's not that much money, but for me and my simple little lifestyle, that's a trip to Costco. That's a good trip to Costco for me. So nothing is too small. Nothing is too small. But also the other thought that I had was, after 2 years of feeling like I'm working for free, which that's the choice that I made. But after I have had these moments where I'm like, why does this feel so thankless? I'm just like spending all this time working for free and it just feels thankless. Like that's usually how I feel after I read a mean comment or I'm dealing with an a-hole in the chat, right? Which doesn't happen very often, but sometimes it happens. And I'm like, what is the point of this? I'm not even getting paid. Now I'm just like, okay, you did it. You're monetized. You actually are starting to get paid. Not a ton, but you are starting to get paid. And I suddenly am feeling, I don't know, brave isn't the word, emboldened. Emboldened is the word. Is that the right word? Let's look that up. Emboldened. Embolden AI. Of course, there's something called embolden AI. No, I just want the definition of this word. Does this describe how I feel? Embolden means to be instilled with courage, confidence, or resolution to act. Yes. The term serves as the past tense and the past participle of the verb embolden. It describes a state where someone is newly empowered by circumstances, support, or a recent success to take action or speak up. This is the exact word. This is the exact word that describes how I felt this morning setting up the final piece of AdSense to get paid. Usage. It usually functions as an adjective describing a person or group that feels heartened or motivated. For example, the team was emboldened by their recent victory and played with renewed energy. Synonyms: encouraged, inspirited, heartened, motivated, and daring. Context: it conveys a psychological shift rather than an innate trait, reflecting how an external factor pushes someone past their initial timidity or fear. This is exactly how I feel right now, setting up the final piece of AdSense. I feel emboldened. I feel like I have this new sense of courage, confidence, or resolution to act. And I so I made two videos that got, like, I wouldn't call them viral, but they got a little bit of attention. They got more attention than anything else I've ever done on this channel. And it was basically me talking about AI. They weren't even specifically about AI. They were just me sort of reflecting on my career and do I feel left behind? And the comments on those videos were like 99% positive, but the 1% made me feel like, don't make this content because you are too soft and squishy and you cannot handle any attention or comments that are even a little bit critical. That's how I felt. So the first thing I did is I found somebody to moderate comments for me. That was a genius move right there, because now I don't really have to look at comments. It's absolutely, if somebody is offering to help you do something that is an important part of your workflow and that can ease any stress for you, take the help. Take the help. So that's number one. But I'm still sort of like, okay, now I have to like continue to make these videos, and it's hard because I don't want to attract that type of attention. But at the same time, I'm like, Angela, that's not how this works. It's the internet. It's YouTube. It literally doesn't matter what you say. Anytime you attract more attention, you are going to attract people who have an opinion, and they're either just going to be critical or mean, and there's nothing you can do about it. So setting up the final piece of the AdSense this morning, I was like, I absolutely feel emboldened now to make that type of content, get the views, attract the audience. I don't want to be clickbaity. I don't want to be like an AI grifter, even though I know people are going to call me that. I want to talk about things that I believe in or that I'm seriously thinking about. And now I feel emboldened to do so. So I don't know. This morning was just, it was kind of cool. So I was excited to share that with you. Let's see here. Kunal B12 says, I'm new to your stream. I want to ask, what do you think about future front-end devs due to AI automation? Excellent question. Let's definitely talk about that. And Solo Clips says, hi, I am currently a second-year bachelor student, and it's my summer break. I like front end, so what should I learn other than HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, or is this enough? Yeah, we can definitely talk about that too. And Lego Technic says that they're from Bangladesh. Well, we're happy to have you. We have a sizable international audience here, which I think is pretty cool. Okay, so Kunal B12, hopefully I'm saying that correctly. What do you think about the future of front-end developers due to AI automation? So it's interesting. If you had asked me this question a couple of months ago, my answer would have been different. The one thing that making those two videos did was and reading the comments that I got, it really forced me, motivated me, emboldened me to start using AI agents. Because I am a regular user of ChatGPT, but my experience with AI and coding has been a little bit of GitHub Copilot, which I don't love in VS Code, but it's really mostly just been copying and pasting code back and forth to ChatGPT if I need help. And that is not ideal. That is honestly, it's less than ideal. It's downright a pain in the ass. Now that I'm using Codex and I instead use ChatGPT to help me write the prompts for Codex, it's a much different experience. So the part of my answer that doesn't change is that we absolutely still need human beings to do development. And it doesn't matter if it's front end or back end. It just doesn't matter. We still need humans to oversee the work. Humans understand the mission of the organization, the users, the personas. what the organization is trying to achieve and what the organization is trying to accomplish. AI doesn't know that about you or your organization. That is your job to tell AI what those things are. AI is a tool. It's exactly what you say here in your comment, due to AI automation. Humans still need to manage the automation. And now that I'm using Codex, that has never been clearer to me. Codex needs me to review its work, to QA the work, to point out the things that aren't quite right. It's going to do whatever. I'm trying to think of a good example. I just did some client work where I was upgrading Vue 2 components that were in a Laravel app to Vue 3 that are now in an Astro app. So I used Codex. It was absolutely beautiful. The experience was so good. So I used Codex. First, I used ChatGPT to sort of help me create the prompts, which was an amazing experience. Then I had Codex do the work, but it was my job then to go in and test the functionality because I understand the organization. I understand the leadership team. I understand the leaders in the department who need the thing in the first place. I know what they're going to be looking at because I've worked with these people before, and I know I just knew testing the functionality that there were things that were not technically wrong, but that needed to be different. That's only something that a human can know because a human understands the humans that they're working with, right? So it's going to change development in that it's going to make it faster and quicker, but humans still very much need to be able to do the work. Here's the other thing, and I've seen this on social media too. Other people talking about this, more experienced developer talking about this. How do I say this? I don't think anybody who is new to development should be using AI. You shouldn't. Because you need to understand that there's no way that you are going to be able to use these tools to automate development and be able to QA what the result is if you yourself don't understand coding. And that's only something that can come with experience. It's not something that just happens because you took a course or you watched a tutorial. My success in the work that I just completed is a direct result of my 13 years of experience. And it's not because I'm the best developer in the world. It's because I've started and finished dozens and dozens and dozens of projects. It's because I understand deployment. I know how to talk to my colleagues. I understand requirements. I know what a leadership team is really looking for because I get to know the people I'm working with. It's a direct result of my experience that I got that work done so quickly and so efficiently. And if you're a new developer, I just don't know how you use these tools effectively if you don't understand what's being output. So I am still very much in favor of the fact that new developers, you have to learn how to do this work. You cannot just rely on the tools. The tools are going to be an important part of the process, but you have to understand what's being output. I hope that that makes sense. I feel like maybe I took too long to explain that, but Solo Clips is saying, I like front end, so what should I learn other than HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, or is this enough? So you absolutely need to have a solid understanding of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It's not enough, I am sorry to say, but you do need to know those things. In fact, as a front end developer, I am of the opinion that your life will be harder if you don't have a solid grasp of those things. As for what else you should learn, I have no strong feelings on this, not even a recommendation. Clearly, React and Tailwind are the big players right now. I think the big three are React, Angular, and Vue. I'm a Vue person because I worked at an organization for 7 years that used Vue. I've built a handful of Angular apps. I've never used React, and I've had an excellent career as a front-end developer for 13 years. But the reason I've had a good career is because I have a strong grasp of HTML, CSS, and a little bit of JavaScript. I'm a very good generalist. That's why I've had such a good career. So that's my recommendation. Well, my recommendation is pick something, learn it, and make sure that you enjoy it. So, like I said, clearly React and Tailwind seem to be the big players right now. So in addition to the big three, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, pick a framework, spend some time getting to know it, check and see what people are hiring for, and go from there. I don't have a strong opinion. Jay says, hi, I am an amateur developer, but still having trouble learning concepts to implement in my apps. Can you give me some tips on learning how to learn effectively? Okay, this is an excellent question. I'm going to point you back to this right here. So in April, I had the same problem. Jay, I feel like we're on the same wavelength here. I had the same problem. I've been telling myself for years, Angela, you need to be better at vanilla JavaScript. It was the one thing that I really struggled with. I was like, okay, what can we do? What can we do to get better at vanilla JavaScript? So I had a conversation with ChatGPT and I said, hey, I want to go live every single day for 30 days and learn JavaScript, but I want to start simple and then slowly work up in complexity. So together with ChatGPT, I had it give me lessons or give me challenges. So day one was a button counter. Build a counter. Hang on, you can't see my screen. Day one was a button counter. Build a counter with increment, decrement, and reset buttons. I'll put this in the chat if you would like to take a look. And I went live every day, so all of this has been recorded. And it told me what to focus on. It gave me nice extras. And I asked specifically for things in MDN that I could look at or study or read up on in order to prep. And then we built the thing. And then I put in the code and the JavaScript that I used in order to complete the project. So use AI as a tool to challenge you and help you learn. I think that that's one of the most powerful things for AI. I've actually done this. I've done a whole series, I need to get back to this, of practicing JavaScript. So all of these videos here where I'm basically practicing JavaScript, I literally have a thumbnail that says practice JavaScript. This is me saying, hey, ChatGPT, I really want to practice sort and for each. Give me data and give me some requirements. And then I'm going to practice. And then I'm going to use ChatGPT to review my code and make sure I did things correctly, or help me if I get stuck, or help me just maybe do a code review, tell me where I could have done something a little bit better. And this has been fantastic. I need to get back to doing this. I haven't done this in like a month. I was doing these every single day. I did a lot of these. It's a great way to learn. So if you're thinking to yourself, I'm still having trouble, I'm going to read this here. I'm still having trouble learning concepts to implement in my apps. This is a great question for ChatGPT or Claude or whatever you use. Tell ChatGPT what your app is and say, hey, I say exactly what you said to me. I'm having trouble learning concepts that I can implement in my apps, and have it give you a task with requirements, because that's the real world of development. You get a task and it has requirements, and sometimes the requirements aren't good enough. You just aren't clear enough, and you have to go back and say, okay, wait, when you said this, is this what you meant? Or did you mean this? So try that. I think that'll really help you. That helped me. That has been instrumental for me to learn JavaScript. So I think that's a very good use of AI. Pixel Hacker Official is here and says, "Wow, your coding is cool. I really want to learn CSS fully and go to JavaScript, but I am learning online. Is there some place online? There is some places that I do not understand, but I know JavaScript a bit." So here's the track that I tell people to take. Certainly do a course. A course will introduce you to a topic. A tutorial will answer a specific question. So if you're stuck on a specific thing and you need help, look for a tutorial that answers a specific question. Practice is the real way to learn. So think of a project, build an app, build a landing page, think of a project, and think of ways to implement concepts like Jay says, implementing concepts, doing practice projects, things like that. That is going to be the best way to learn JavaScript. Practice. Lots and lots and lots of practice. And Kunal says, "Thank you. You're welcome." HBK says, "Hey, Angela, do you have any ideas about game development?" None. I have no idea. I'm not a gamer. Um, I it's not, I sometimes I play Plants vs. Zombies on my iPad. That's it. I'm not a gamer. I'm kind of not into it and I don't know anything about it. So, unfortunately, no, I don't. And Solo Clips says, "Thank you. You're welcome." Pixel Hacker Official says, "Sometimes coding feels boring, but usually it is fun, I think." Yeah, I can get on board with that. It depends on what you're doing. I definitely have things where I'm like, "Oh, this again." Anytime I have to move my work to a CMS, I'm usually like, "Oh, why?" This is the part I don't enjoy. But the front end part where I just get to write HTML, CSS, and or build, like a Vue app, that's the fun part to me. I like that. So, or I would say anytime I have to untangle some CSS, like if I am trying to fix something or refactor some very, very messy CSS, that puts me to sleep. I'm just like, I don't want to do this. This is not how I want to spend my time right now. So, but it is what it is. So, okay. Hold please. One moment. Okay. So, should we actually do some work today? I think we should. Let's pull up our debounced search with filter because I'm definitely going to need this. So this was our last project on the 30 days of JavaScript. I actually think it matches exactly what we're doing right now. So here's practice layouts. We have two things happening. We're using our data to output a hero, and the hero is basically it's kind of a last in, first out. So we're grabbing the three most recent projects specifically for the hero. And then after these three, we're grabbing the next everything that comes after these three as the data. So here's what I'm envisioning, that this search will really just act as a filter for what's already rendered on the page. So, and if I don't have anything set up, but let's say that I just, I'm trying to think of what it is that we actually want to search. I mean, we could basically search for, this is like our category, our title, and our description. I feel like we could do keyword searches on those three fields. So I see landing page here in a couple, or maybe CSS grid. So maybe you came to the search and you typed in CSS grid, and then it would just filter, and anything that had CSS grid in like the subheading, or I think we called it a category. It's not a true taxonomy. In the subheading, the title, or the description, it would filter. And so the great example of this is that these things are already rendered, and then I would just type in, maybe I typed in computer, and it is searching for the name, the role. I think it's searching for all of these fields. What is it searching for? It's searching for the name, the role, the topic. So here's, okay, so it's not searching location. Here's the name, the role, the topic. So maybe we type in programming. Yeah. So I feel like this is the perfect kind of search. It's not a true search in that you go to a template and you look at search results. It's just going to filter what's being rendered on the page. Yeah. It looks like we have a little, we may have to clear that. We may have to write a little JavaScript that clears the input when it loses focus. Yeah, we didn't, I don't think clearly we didn't test that. So, okay. The other thing that I wanted to do was add a load more. I don't know if I have the emotional energy to do both today. So let's just see how it goes. And HBK says, can I get your LinkedIn? I think it's, hang on, I will put it in the chat. I don't know if I have it in my description or not, but I will put it in the chat. Oh, HBK says they got it. Jay says, do you have any tips on getting hired in 2026? My best tip is it's a numbers game. You're not going to get a job if you're not applying. So it's a numbers game, and it only takes one hiring manager or HR person to see your resume and to get excited about you. So apply to as many jobs as you can that you think you're a good fit for. And it's going to be a process. It's not as easy as it used to be. And good luck. Kunal says, which is easier to learn for a beginner, Vue, React, or Angular? I have no strong opinions on this. I've never used React. I was a Vue user at my last job for 7 years. I think Vue is fine. I enjoy it. I also really like Angular, but I haven't used it in a couple of years. And I think you just need to pick one and do whatever you enjoy. What is easy for me, you might not enjoy, and vice versa, right? Pick one and start learning it. And if you don't like it, choose another one and start learning that. I'm of the opinion that a lot of frameworks are, they all kind of do the same thing. They might be structured differently, but they're all kind of doing the same thing at the end of the day. So once you learn one, it's not terribly hard to learn another one. So there's that. Okay. So if you put something in the chat, be patient. I'm going to check the chat after we get this filter razzmatazz figured out. So please don't have hurt feelings if I don't respond right away, but I will respond to everybody. We've got a busier chat today than we normally have, which is kind of exciting. So, okay. So here's our debounced search. So what happened here? So we are already rendering our cards, right? So we don't need to do this part. We do need to wrap the render in a function. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then really, and And of course, we'll go ahead and debounce the search. But this actually looks pretty straightforward, right? We don't have a button to clear. I don't think we need a button to clear. Because I feel like the input itself has a clear, and I think that that should be enough if the input is clear, right? So I feel like we can deal with that. We do need to make sure, like I said, that if the input has a value and it loses focus, we need to account for that, obviously. So we'll figure that out too. What else is happening here? So I'm not concerned about this. This is the init down here. Of course, everything is debounced. We have a field for hidden. We can go ahead and put that in. This is kind of it right here. This is the event listener on the input searching for matched items. Yeah. So what else though are we going to do? I kind of feel like we would also want to hide the hero. Well, let's just get it working and then we can decide what is hidden and what's shown. And we'll also put in a message. So, okay, maybe this isn't going to be as big a deal as I thought it would be. So we'll just do, so we'll do a function. Render projects. And then we're going to pass in our slice data, right? So here's our render projects. Is that right? Is that going to work? I think so. All right, so far so good. We'll do our input. Oh, we have to define some of these things. Okay. Let's do this. Oh, wait a second. I'm going to switch these. Bear with me. There we go. Okay. So here's our form. We'll do this here. Okay, so we need our input. We're not in the root. Okay. Good. There we go. give me a minute. I'm like catching up. I'm here, but I'm like also I'm getting in the groove. It takes me a minute sometimes. Okay, so we need our input. We don't have a clear button. We don't have an empty message. And we need we already have that though, right? We have that right here. This is the root. So we already have our root. Okay, cool. All we needed was that input for now. And we'll do our debounced at the same time. So the input, add event listener, input. We're going to capture that event. And then I'm going to clear our timeout. And then the timer is going to equal a set timeout. And looks like we did 500 milliseconds last time. Sounds good. Now everything goes inside of here. So the search is the value of whatever is being typed into the target, which is the input. Search equals the event target. We're going to get the value and we'll normalize it to lowercase. And then we'll also make sure that we trim any white space. Okay, so there's the search. Now we need our matched items, which is equal to the sliced data, right? Because well, is it though? We actually want all of the data. We do want all of the data because we want to make sure that we're filtering everything, even the things that are inside the hero. So we actually want this data. Our initial render is the slice data. Yeah. Oh, that's hadn't thought of that till just now. Okay. So we are filtering on the full data set. We're going to filter. We'll get that item. And then the match is equal to, we're going to get, let's look at our data. Not that. So we're looking at the title, the category, and the description. I don't know if description is too broad. We'll try it. I don't think it's going to hurt. I think that it's fine to do all three, but we'll just do it and see how it goes, right? So we want the title, the category, and the description. So we'll start with the item title, and we also normalize that with 2 lowercase and includes search right here, the value that got typed into the input. Or the item category. And again, 2 lowercase includes search, whatever got typed in. Or the description. Item description, 2 lowercase includes search. Did I spell everything right? Includes, no. Includes and then we return a match. Okay, what else do we need? I don't think I need this anymore. And then inside of our event listener, we are going to render the products, and we are taking in the matched items, which is this right here. So here's our render projects. Now we're going to basically render them again. And we want the matched items this time. And we can come back and console log if we need to. So this is for that empty message, which I'm not going to include that right now. We'll come back and do that. I think this is all we need to do though. So here's what I'm hoping happens. I'm hoping when I type this in, the hero is still going to be here. We're filtering here. So what happens if we do CSS grid? Nothing happens. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Wait, did I forget to initialize something? Okay, I guess we'll console log. Let's say matched items. Oh, match items. The number one reason things don't work is that I spell it wrong. Oh. Okay, so this is working. So hang on, our render just isn't working. Oh, I know why. Hang on. I know why. We have to clear the results first. So how much you want to bet if we go down here? Yeah, it is rendering. It's just putting it down at the end. So we have to clear the inner HTML first. And I think I actually had that up here. Where was it here? Yeah. Cards. You have to clear the articles before render. So that has to happen right. Has to happen before the for each. Right here. And that's the root. It's actually the root because the root is the query selector portfolio, and we are clearing the inner HTML of the root first. So root inner HTML equals nothing. Okay, now let's try it. So here's just our normal. So I would expect to see everything rendered there. CSS grid. You guys, it worked. The filter worked. Okay, this is so cool. So here's the next thing that okay, so now we got things to do. I don't know why this was so easy. This is amazing. I love this. Okay, so what I would really like to have happen is that we are also hiding the hero. So I'm just going to do like a hidden attribute on the hero. And we're going to move everything up because the content, the hero is just the last 3 projects, but the search includes everything, right? So for searching title, oh, this is interesting. It's now it's including so it hang on. So when we clear the search, it's putting in things that are in the hero back into the rendered. Hang on, I have to think about this. It's because, well, you have to filter on the entire data set. Oh, I think we honestly just have to do this afterwards. What? Yes? Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay, CSS grid. Okay. Now if we clear that, that was it. So we just have to re-render our sliced data afterwards. Wondering if, do we need this here? If we haven't searched yet, do we even need that there? I don't know. Yep, we do. Yes, we do. The answer is yes, we do. That's fine. Okay, good. So let's search for a couple other things like vanilla. Or static. So this is making me think that I should not include the description. Oh, and look at it's still putting in. Why is it doing that? So it's still including, hang on. I mean, the render function, render projects, sliced data. It's gotta be because if there are no matched items, it's using this. That's why it's using the entire. So I think we just have to put in a condition, right? That says if no matched items, kind of like this. If there aren't any matched items, then we want to render projects with slice data. Okay, well, this is good because we can put in an empty message at the same time and we can hide the hero. That's the other thing that we're going to do. So we're just going to do, this is so fun. How do you not love this? This is so fun. Okay. So I'm going to, so if we just did like hidden, that didn't work. That should automatically, oh, probably because it's display grid. No, but hidden is display none. So why wouldn't that work? Okay, well, let's just say we're basically just going to display none this if there are results. So we'll clearly have to make sure that there are some styles there for that. No problem. Yeah, that's it. That's all I want to do. We should also make sure that there's a message. Where do we want to put that? So here's our header. It's our navigation. Here's our main. I feel like we can just put a paragraph tag here. We'll give it a class of empty and we'll do a hidden attribute. Hopefully that works. I don't know. What I'm learning about hidden is that it's just an attribute that display nones the element. And if you've already defined a display property for that element, it doesn't always work. You have to do a little extra CSS. So, um, one moment, please. Hold, please. Okay. Um, what's our hidden message? Just going to copy it from here. No results found. Beautiful. Let's do this. No results found. Hidden by default. Let's make sure that works. Yep, it does. It works. Excellent. We have to make sure that this is defined in our JavaScript. I can do that down here. Let's call it empty equals document query selector search empty. Search, hang on. Search empty. Just like that. Okay. And what else were we going to do? I think we need to define the hero if we're going to make that hidden. So that's just a class of hero. Okay, we can handle that. Hero, document, query selector, hero. Okay, so we're basically going to do this. So if match items, yeah, I did match. Okay, match items length is equal to 0. Then we want to render projects with sliced data, not the full data set. We also want the, oh, yeah, empty. I had a thought, but I don't know if might be overthinking. So we want hidden to be false, meaning it's going to show our message. And what else do we want? We want the hero hidden to be true. We don't want to show the hero. Else, we want the empty hidden to be true. And we want the hero hidden to be false, right? Do we put, I'm wondering, do we put this here? Oh, let's try it. Let's be brave. Okay. Okay, so the hero thing is not working. Yeah, I think that's because, oh, it didn't add it. Oh, I didn't, well, I didn't set the attribute. I shouldn't have to. Oh, that I got these backwards. Hidden? No, I didn't. Hidden should be true. Hang on. If there's no items, no, I did get this backwards. Hidden is false if there's no items. If there are items, I don't know. I'm confusing myself. We're just gonna keep going until it works. Okay. So it is working, but hidden isn't working because we have a display property. So that's cool. So we just need to add some CSS for this to work. We just need to make this display none. I got this. So let's find our hero. Really, I think what we could do is we could do let's just do a wild card. Yeah, let's just do a wild card. We're going to do it right here. So we're going to say anything that is, and hidden is it's an attribute. Hang on. How do I ask this question? It's like disabled is an attribute. Is hidden a CSS, what's not a pseudo element, a pseudo class. Pseudo class or an HTML attribute. Because disabled is both. It's an attribute and it's a pseudo class. Hidden, okay. So hidden is an HTML attribute, not a CSS pseudo class. Okay, so then we can do an asterisk as a wildcard, and then we'll put in hidden as the attribute, and we'll just say display none. And that worked. Well, did it? No. Gosh dang it. Oh, because it's not added yet. So we'll say vanilla. What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on? Is it just not specific enough? Right here. See? It's not specific enough. Am I really going to have to like brute force this? I hate using important. And it's not, why is it not removing? If there are no, hero, if there are no items, hero hidden false, else if there are items. No, this, I have this backwards. This is true. And this is false. Okay, so if there are items, then this is what is happening to my brain right now? Why can I not understand this? No, I don't want this. We want this to be okay, Angela. We got to pseudocode this. Okay. If there are no matched items, then see, I think I'm conflating two things. If we're searching for something and nothing is returned, we want to show this message that says, nothing returned your items. And that's not the same thing as whether or not you show the hero or not show the hero. It's two different things. This is about searching for something, not finding the thing that you searched for, and showing a message that says nothing was found. That's what that really, this is what this is about. Then show the message, there are no items. That's really what this is. So, but I feel like it's still, so if there aren't any matched items, but I feel like this logic does still work for the hero. But you have to load the hero. Well, the hero loads on page load. So it's just a matter of showing it or not showing it depending on whether or not. So if so we still need to be able to render our project. Our items, match items. So we're immediately, let's make sure that this works. Okay, no results found. Got it. So I think this is fine. We don't have to clear the hero just because there aren't any results. But if there are results, hero, hidden, true. We want to add that attribute, right? Yes. Now, how do we remove that attribute? That's the question. And then how do we re-render? So this is a separate set of logic. Then we remove the hero attribute and we re-render projects with only slice data. So I feel like this is an else if match items. Oh, hang on. Else if match items length is greater than 0, then do this. Else render projects with their slice data, and the hero hidden is false. So I think we just needed an extra condition. If this doesn't work, we're just going to ask for help, because we're just going to ask for help. Okay, so here's everything that says vanilla, I guess, in the title. It's a lot of stuff. Let's try something a little more. Okay. So maybe it's not the results, it's whether or not the search has any value. That's what it is. That's what it is. Okay. Hang on. So this is fine for the empty results. True. What we're really doing is we're checking to see if anything has been typed into the search. So if search has anything, wait, how do you do that? If the search, well, is this enough? If there is a value, if search, we'll find out. Hang on. It's gonna do this. Just console log the search for me. Yeah. So I feel like this is this just like at this point a true or false? It either has something or it doesn't. So if the search has something, because it's equal to the value, and if there's no value, it would be false, right? So if search true, else am I right about this? Holy shit, that worked. This is what we need. So, cool. Okay. So if there's something in the search, I think we can just render our matched item projects. Otherwise, we render the sliced data. And what else do we do? If there are matched items, then we want our hero hidden to be, we want to hide the hero, so that would be true. Else, we want to render our slice data and we want the hero hidden to be false. We need our hero to show up. I feel very good about this. Okay, so far so good. And then what if we just boop? It works. You guys, it works. Okay, so let's test it now to make sure that we're actually getting all the correct data. So I'm going to type in coffee. That's it. This is exactly what I wanted. This is exactly what I wanted. Okay. We have another issue though. I'm really not a fan of using important. So, so the only reason this hidden attribute is working is because I had to use display none important. Is this the worst thing in the world? Is it? If it just needs to be more specific, maybe it just needs to be at the bottom of the style sheet and not at the top. That could be all we need for specificity. If that's the trade-off, I'll take it, because I really don't like using important. When you use important, I think that what important means to me is that you don't really understand specificity. So I would rather do this for specificity. And that worked. That worked. So we just need to keep the things that are more specific down at the bottom. And this is a wild card, and that's okay, because all we're doing here is we're saying, hey, if something has the hidden attribute, hide it. It's supposed to be display none. That's the whole point of hidden. But when you are explicitly defining a display on something, then that is more specific than its normal property, right? Because a div is by default display block. And then there are other things like links that are by default display inline. So you're redefining what those display properties are, and that's totally fine. You should be doing that. That's going to make your life easier when you understand how to do that. But your life is also going to be easier when you understand specificity and how to order things to get the specificity you need without just slapping an important onto it. So that's a good trade-off for me. I'm fine with that. So, okay, here's the other thing that we have to do. So here's how this is currently styled, this focus. This is basically functioning exactly the way I want it to, which is amazing. And then we're going to check the other pages too. So here's our form element. And this is all done with CSS. So when the input gets focus, we transition this label right here. So here's our search input, and here's the focus state. And you can see here the CSS. When the search label has a search input of focus and the plus sign is a sibling element, then we're transitioning, we're transforming with translate. So, but what this doesn't do is this doesn't check to see if the search input has value. which clearly it does. But what did we just do? What did we just do, guys? We wrote JavaScript to check and see if the search input had value. So that's what we need to do. CSS can't do that for us. It can't check the value. JavaScript can. So we need to, I think we can just add a class to the label. This is basically saying if the search label has a sibling element, search input, and the search input has focus. Same with the search icon. We can take that out because we changed the icon. The search icon was a button when we wrote this, but we took that out because it's not a true button. So we don't need this second line of CSS. But what we do need is a class. So if the search input has a value, basically it's true, we're going to add a class to the label. So it'll be like search label active. And then we can just add it to this little stack here. I think that'll work. So let's make sure, whoops. So we'll just say label equals document query selector. And what is this? Search underscore label. Okay, whoops. So I think we just want to say if it's true, label class list add, I'm just going to say like input active. And then we'll say label, if this is false, class list, whoops, what did I just do? Label, class list, remove, input active. I feel like we need to, do we need a condition to check for input active first? Let's see if this works. Okay, so if the input is active, I expect to see the class be added here. So, okay, input active. Okay, and it removes the class when I clear the input. And then on page load, I mean, I think this is fine. We're not getting any errors by not checking to see if it contains that first. Okay, so now let's add our CSS. So just to remind us what this looks like, say we put in vanilla and the search is animated, transitioned away because the input has focus. But if the input loses focus, the search transitions back down over top. So we're going to say search label, input active, we're going to add it. We're going to add it to that. So here's the CSS right here. We don't need the second line anymore. So I'm going to say search label input active. So this should hold that now. And it does. Look at that. You guys, it's like it's like we are real developers. That's what it feels like some days. Even after 13 years, I'm just like, wow, it's like I'm a real developer. Beautiful. Okay. So we should make sure that this is working on inner pages as well. And we should make sure that we're not getting any errors in the console because it's not all the pages are exactly the same. We can probably remove some of these console logs. Glad that we figured out this logic. Yeah. Okay. We can. There we go. Okay. So we're on the home page. Here's our about page. The about page doesn't render anything because it's the about page. Same with the contact page. Okay, but we obviously want the search to work on those pages. All right, this is good. So how do we change our logic to make sure that we can still render on those pages? So I think that means that we still need this div there, but we obviously don't want to render on those pages. We only want to render if somebody's searching on those pages. Hmm. All right. That's so interesting. I hadn't thought of that. Okay. So let's switch to an inner page and we'll figure this out. So let's go to our about page. Which I guess portfolio. So is that automatically? Yeah, it automatically renders. And if we put it inside the wrap, no, if it won't matter if we put it inside the wrap because we changed the CSS. Okay, that's fine. I don't even care about that right now. The styling part we'll figure out. So we obviously don't want this to render on page load. We only want this to render if we're searching. So I think that's going to be some JavaScript logic, which we have a class called full width. Although that's not going to matter because that was only for styling. So I feel like we need a class. Well, or maybe it's just that we are only rendering on the home page. So instead of logic that says don't render if it's this page or if it's this page, we say only render if it's this page. So how do we do that? Well, it's the home page, but maybe I have to think about that for a second. Let's make sure that the filtering at least works, right? CSS grid. Oh, and you know what else is going on here? Okay. Yeah, that was the other thing. So this error is happening because the hero doesn't exist on this page already. Oh, look at that doesn't, yeah, it doesn't exist, but this should still be adding. Well, we're getting an error because the hero doesn't exist there. So we have to check for the hero. No problem. We can do that. So if search and hero, right? But we don't want the render to be dependent on the hero. So maybe we have to do, oh, I have to think about this. Hold please, one moment. Well, I mean, we can separate this logic. That's okay. Because we definitely don't want whether or not something is getting rendered to be dependent on whether or not the hero exists. So maybe that just has to be separate logic. So if search and hero, so now I want to see, I want to make sure that this is getting filled in. All right, there we go. Or are we getting an error? Oh, yeah, it can't add false if it doesn't exist. If there's no search and no hero, I mean, do I have to just be like super explicit? I'm not sure. Hang on. Okay. Oh, and we have to add the, okay, so this worked. So we have to add our empty message to every page. We could do that. This is a good one. I'm enjoying this. Are you enjoying this? I'm enjoying this. I'm not even being sarcastic. I mean it. I'm enjoying this. Okay, so where was that? That was before. I'm gonna put it right there. Okay, let's try it again. And so this is working now. Okay. If there's no search and there is a hero, I think that's, let's take this out. So the hero has to exist. It's whether or not there is or isn't a search. I think that's what it is. Okay. This though, but this is not, because there's no hero. Oh man, holy shit. There's so many conditions. Because there's no hero, it does need to show the full data set. It needs to render the full data set. So we need to do this first. Oh, geez, good grief. So, okay, because the hero, on the home page, the hero is sliced. It's the first three results of the data. Oh, no, 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 no. There's no default render though. Scratch that. Disregard. Disregard. There's no default render. This is not a real problem. We just need to make sure that the results are returning the full data set. Okay. Okay, so I think that then all we do is I think this is the best indication of being on an inner page because there's no hero on the inner page. That's logic that works in my situation, right? So there's no, right? I don't have a hero on the inner pages by default. No, I don't. It's only on the home page. So is it better to only render on the home page? I don't think so because the markup isn't here. The best indication of whether or not it's of what page you're on is whether or not there's a hero. There's no hero on the inner page. So I feel like I could just do, I don't know if this is gonna work. Where is it? That's the video. Can we just clear the root and the hero? Well, there's no hero, so we don't have to worry about that. No, but this is if there's a hero. Not if there's not a hero. Good grief, do I need another condition? Yeah, but it's just whether or not we're showing it by default, and that's okay. So this is for a page that has a hero. Now we need to check and see if there's a page that doesn't have a hero. So if there's no hero, but is that going to influence whether or not I mean, that's okay. If there's no hero, but there is a search. Okay, I gotta think about this. So if there's no hero, it means we're on either the about page or the contact page. So if there's no hero and there's no search, then we want the root inner HTML to be nothing. We don't want anything to render. But this is all inside the event listener. Is that okay? Or do I need to do this? Do I need to do this before any of these things happen? I'm not sure. We're going to try it and find out. Okay, so if there's no hero and there's no search, and there wouldn't be, this markup would not exist, only this markup would exist because this is the container. Right? And I think that this, I really think that this is going to have to be not, I don't think this is supposed to be inside the event listener. Because I think I can't wait for an input to, right? So this is more like a on-page load. On-page load. If no hero and, but the search is defined down here. Can I define the search? No, because it's the target. So I don't think I have to worry about the search though. I think I can just say, if there's no hero, don't load these things. So I might have to do this again inside the event listener. Yeah. So we're on the about page. So we know that there's, the div is here, right? Here's main. Yeah, content. Right here. So on page load, we're making sure okay, beautiful. And then I think we just, so let's test this because if we search for something, there's our results. Yeah, so then we just have to make sure that we clear this again down here. So where do we want to do that? Does it matter? Mm. Oh, we just need extra conditions here. Okay. So we do want to at least, if there's no hero, yeah, hang on, we're going to move this up. We got this. I got this. If there's no hero and no search, then just go ahead and clear that. Else, but I'm going to put in an if. Else, if there's no hero and there's search, then we want to render our matched items. We want to do both of these things. I feel like we need another condition to remove the input active. So maybe I kind of feel like this should be first. So we would do if there's no hero and there is search, so search is true. Go ahead and render the matched items, add the input active to the label. Else if there's no hero and there's no search, then the root in our HTML is empty and we want to remove. Yeah. Whoop. Wrong one. We want to remove this. I think that's right. So if there's no hero, which is basically the same as saying we're on an inner page and inner pages don't have a hero, but if there is a value in the search input, then go ahead and render our projects, the match items, and add the input active class to the label so we can maintain that transition even when there's no focus. Else if there's no hero and there's no search value, then just go ahead and clear that div and remove that label. I feel like there's an easier way to combine these three things. I'm not quite there yet though. So here's our empty portfolio div, which we're doing on page load. Vanilla. Okay, here's our results. Got it. I feel like we should exclude. We should make sure that that's a problem for a different day, my friends. Okay, and we know that our class is working because our transition. Gosh darn it, I think that's it. So how about our contact now? So let's do this now. Well, actually, let's also make sure that we're clearing our content. Wouldn't we want to add hidden to this wrap? So all of the content is going to go inside of this wrap, which is a sibling of the portfolio. I don't know if that matters right now. Well, it does matter because that's how we're going to target it. So we need to add hidden to this wrap because unless we want our content to be beneath the results, but doesn't it make more sense to hide the content and only show the results? It does to me. So how would we target the wrap with JavaScript knowing that the portfolio is a sibling? Well, here's how I'm going to do it. And then, you know what? We're going to plan on the fact that we will do some refactoring here. We will definitely do some refactoring. But you know what? You can't refactor something that doesn't exist. You cannot refactor JavaScript that hasn't been written yet. So let's nail down our functionality and we'll go from there. And Malik Robinson, our mod in the chat, is reminding me about the time. We're coming up on 2 hours. And I'm going to keep going. I'm not stopping because I think we are very close. So hopefully the mods can hang out and stay with us. But I'm going to keep going because I think that we have maybe another, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes here, possibly. We'll see. I don't know. We're close. So let's do this. So we're going to say const. I'm going to call it the content wrap document query selector. This is just the beautiful thing about query selectors. So the query selector for this is portfolio plus, where's the plus sign? Plus wrap. So what this is doing is it's saying, hey, if there is a portfolio and a wrap that are siblings, where the portfolio comes first and the wrap comes second, then this is the thing that exists. This is what we call it, right? And so if we add class to content wrap, then we are adding the class to the wrap. I think. Pretty sure I'm right. Let's find out. Let's find out. So, which of these, I think it's this one right here, because this is an inner page. If there's no hero, we know it's an inner page. So, content, whoops. Oh, and it's an attribute, not a class. We're not adding a class. We're adding the attribute, right? So content wrap hidden. I don't know if this is going to work. We'll find out. This would be true, right? Because if we're displaying our projects, our matched items, we want to hide that. Boy, wouldn't it be fun if this works? Content wrap hidden equals false. What do we think? Hidden? No, didn't work. Okay, why didn't it work? So we have a, why didn't our, so technically it worked. It added the attribute, but why am I having so much trouble getting? It's because this is so much more specific. So that's cool. So let's, yeah, see how much more specificity there is here. We just have to make sure that we are being more specific. It is working though. Okay. So this is only getting us so far. That's fine. Hang on, I got this. Okay, so this is what it doesn't like. So here's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna say this and this, and we're gonna add hidden. Hidden. There we go. So we're basically just saying, hey, if these attributes exist on hidden, which they do, these need to be display none. And we need to put them last. There, now it's working. Beautiful. So let's, that works perfectly. That works perfectly. Beautiful. This is all working. This is all working. Okay. So here's what we're going to do next. Now on our, so here's our home page. Here's our about page. So we're basically going to add, let's do something that doesn't have any results, like blah, no results found. Beautiful. We can style that. I know that's really tiny, but hopefully you get the gist. So we can style that. And again, that's working. Lovely. Okay, so now let's add that to our contact page. We just have to add the markup to our contact page. So this is what we want to add to the contact page right here. We're going to add this inside the wrap because we do have a sidebar on our contact page. Let's see here. Right. Oh, but we don't want to, but we, gosh darn it. But we're not hiding the wrap here. We're hiding the thing inside the wrap. That's okay. You know what? I was thinking that the search results could display here inside the wrap. So I think we need to target this with a different selector. Instead of doing the sibling, it needs to be a different selector because I want to keep the sidebar. I want this content. So let's, instead of wrap, let's do the class content instead. Okay, hang with me. We're almost done. So I'm just going to say content. We'll make this a little more specific. We'll do page underscore content, just like that. And then on our about page right here, since our content is the entire wrap, it'll be wrap and then page content here. So that changes our selector. That means our selector here instead of wrap is page content, but it's not. Well, for this, it's a sibling. But so for this, it's a sibling. But, well, okay, we don't need to target portfolio page content. We can just target page content. The only reason I was using a sibling was for the targeting. But now that we have a more specific class, we don't have to do that anymore. So this will work. So now we're just going to do this. And now we're just going to hide anything with a class of page content. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So this gets hidden. And then this gets hidden. And for this, I actually want this markup to be right there inside the wrap. And okay, hang on. Oh, it's doing that because is it better to just do, is this better? This might be better. It might be better to manage attributes on that portfolio also. We could do both, right? We could make sure that it's hidden and it doesn't have anything inside of it. I really want to do both. So let's do both. We've got the logic. We've got the logic. So it's root inner HTML and it's root hidden. So it's like a belt and suspenders. So this is going to be true. And we'll just put it in the markup. So we're clearing that container and we're making sure it's hidden. We're doing both. And we're going to do the same thing here. So we have to make sure that if we're rendering our projects, that it's root hidden false, right? And then this is root hidden true. So it's true, it's hidden, and it's empty. It's not hidden, and it's rendering projects. We did it. We did it. And we did it in like 2 hours. I mean, I did a lot of talking at the beginning. Um, yeah, it's hiding the content and we're doing it exactly this is exactly how I envisioned this. Let's go back to our about page. Yes. Yes. Wow. This is so cool. How do you not love this? Should we make sure we didn't break anything on the about on the home page? Okay. So let's search for something different. Nav bar. We'll search for nav bar. Yeah. So we obviously have some styling to do. We did it. I love it. I love it. This is exactly what I was envisioning. I freaking love it. And it works exactly how I wanted it to work on the inner pages. I love it. This was so fun. This was so fun. This is exactly what I was envisioning. So let's go ahead and let's commit our work, shall we? Whew, what a day. This was very productive. Very productive. I'm not going to do like a whole QA today. I am going to go ahead and push this up to our GitHub page. I'm probably going to QA myself this week, and then I will merge with production. That's my plan. And then we'll definitely do like a QA together. So we're on our integrations branch, git add, git commit, building the search / filter. This was so fun. I hope that you all enjoyed this as much as I did. I just think it was super fun. So, oh, it's so cute. We have some styling to do. I don't care about that at all. I think that we should make sure that we're excluding. I know why this is being included. It's because it's part of our it's part of our hmm. So I feel like we need to make sure that the video doesn't get included in search results. So the video gets included in the render projects function because of this right down here. We're just basically counting and saying, hey, ploop this right in if it's this index. So this does not care at all about whether or not it's search results, right? It's just always going to put it in that spot. So I kind of feels like the only way to avoid that is to have a separate well, wouldn't we just pass in an extra condition here that's like video true or false? Couldn't we literally just put in something that's like true? We could say video equals, well, we could just say video, and then we could say video equals true. Or we could say let video equal true. I don't know. I'm going to think about this, but I think we could just pass in like um an extra callback to say whether or not that's true or false. And then we would just specify, and then we would include that condition here. And then we would just specify render projects matched items video equals false. Right? Yeah. I'm not going to worry about it right now, but we'll do something like that. We're going to figure it out because the other thing that we need to do is load more. So we also want to do a load more. So we are going to do that next weekend. I am very tempted to do a stream again this week. I don't know if I have time because I'm done with my client work. But I just had something else I was going to try to get done this week, so I'm not sure. Maybe I will. I don't know. We're so close to being done that I feel like if we did another stream during this week, we could get this wrapped up, right? Yeah. And Malik says just a stretch and a drink reminder. We're done. We're done. We only went about 17 minutes over, and I'm extremely happy with what we got done today. What Mike is here and says, have you ever used vanilla TypeScript, HTML, CSS to build a website? So I did learn TypeScript when I was in school. I'll be honest, I haven't used it a lot or hardly at all. That's one of the things I wanted to work on this week was finally making some members only content, and I've already decided that I was going to do members only content and finally learn React and TypeScript. So that's one of the things I was hoping to work on this week. So the short answer is no, but there is TypeScript content coming, which is a good time to remind people that yes, there are channel memberships. It's $4.99 a month. It's a great way to support the channel if you are so inclined, which also reminds me, we have some memberships that we can actually give away. Let's do that now, shall we? So I am allowed to give away 10 channel memberships a month, and I decided that on the first Sunday of every month I was going to do that. So let's do that. Hang on 1 second here. I'll take this down. How do I do this? Membership gifting. So, FYX88, Rohit, Viper, Erica, and Montgomery Lopez all received a gift membership. I think I can do 5 more. Yes, I can. So, Karthik, Kenny, Fernandada Silva, Rakesh, Ardian, and Pacmax all received gift memberships. So gift memberships do not renew automatically. You have to go into your settings and renew them yourself. Like I said, it's a great way to support the channel. They're $4.99 a month. I do have members only content coming. I am very grateful for the members, the people who choose to sign up and support the channel. If it's not in the cards for you right now, I completely understand. If you would be so kind as to like the video, subscribe if you're not already. It helps the algorithm. It helps get this pushed out to more people who might be interested in this type of content. I'm here on Saturdays and Sundays at 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, roughly. I was a little late today. And yeah, it's also a very good way to support the channel. So there's that. Well, everybody, we had a great crowd today. I'm just telling you, I'm looking at the numbers. We had a very good crowd today. I really appreciate everybody who comes to hang out with me, who comes to watch me code and problem solve and work on things and practice. It is Starting a YouTube channel is the most rewarding thing that I have, one of the most rewarding things I've ever done, other than actually learning to be a front-end developer. That is obviously the first most rewarding thing that I've done in my adult life. And yeah, I don't know. I love front end. I love being on YouTube, so it's kind of perfect. Everybody, I may be back this week. I'm honestly not sure, but I will for sure see you next weekend. We are going to finish the load more. I think the last big piece of functionality is the load more button. Yeah. And then also the contact form. I was going to do a contact form with form validation, but honestly, I am kind of ready to wrap this one up. So I might just do those things myself. And we've done a lot of form validation on this channel. So maybe I don't need to worry about that. I do kind of want to get this wrapped up. So let's get this wrapped up for sure by next weekend. It remains to be seen if I'll be here this week, but we're going to get this done because we got other stuff to do. So there's that. Okay, everybody, have a great rest of your week wherever you are, and I will see you in my next one. Bye-bye.